Hello everyone. Let's review shloka number 69 in Lalita Sahasranamam. Puruśhārthapradā pūrṇā bhoginī bhuvaneśvarī ambikā nādi nidhanā haribrahmendra sevitā. Before we look at the meanings of this shloka, just a recap, we are looking at Devi's omnipresence, and that's what we've been reviewing for the past few weeks. And omnipresence is how Devi is anything and everything and how she can be anywhere and everywhere. This shloka is the last one in Devi's omnipresence. Let's take a look at the meanings of the namas. Puruśhārthapradā. Purusha can be looked at as soul or as a human. Artham has many meanings. Meaning is also one of the meaning of artham. In this particular case, artham means goal or aim. So, puruśhārtham means aims of humans. Prada means bestower. So, puruśhārthapradā means one who bestows the aims, human aims, whatever human pursuits are, she grants that for us. So, what are the aims of human existence? What do humans pursue? There are 4 things that humans can pursue. Whatever we do will come under those 4 categories. They are kama, artha, dharma and moksha. Kama means desire. So, whatever we pursue is born out of our desire. So, desires could be anything that satisfies us emotionally or it gives us sensual pleasures. So something we like to eat, something we like to see, something we like to hear, something we like to touch or the feel of. Those are all kama. So so lots of things, right? Lots of us would love to travel and visit to multiple places, or we love to eat stuff that tastes good. That's a passion for a lot of people, and these days you can see in Facebook, etc., that people go visit many places. Whatever is popular there, they would try it. So those are all things that humans can pursue, and that drives our life. Artha means anything that gives us security. So in this particular case, artha could mean wealth, possession, prosperity, all of those. That's what artha here means. And so money falls under this, or having houses, anything, buying cars, all this falls under artha. And it's not just that money and possessions, it could also be the relationships we have. That is also artha, because that gives us security. It helps us move forward in life. So kama and artha. And then there is dharma. So dharma is integrity, responsibility, compassion, all this fall under dharma. So it is the values we uphold. And you can see a lot of people will have a very principled life. This is the way I should behave. And all the rules of dharma allow us to, they make sure that we are in harmony with nature, we are in harmony with our fellow human beings, we are in harmony with the ultimate consciousness. So all the rules of dharma are important so that we can be in harmony and we can be at peace with ourselves also. And then finally, moksha. Moksha means liberation. So liberation from what? Liberation from wanting, right? So to be able to say, I don't want anything is a amazing state to be, because that doesn't mean that we are not involved in life. It still means that we can be involved, but nothing that happens around us can influence us. So that is what is liberation from want. It's a freedom, right? So if you think about people who are rich, right? So a person who doesn't have much money, it has enough to make sure that they have food and shelter, etc., that person lives a much more freer life. But if you look at a person who's very wealthy or who has a lot of fame, you think about actor, actress, etc., they can't just walk on the road whenever they want it, then there'll be suddenly a big crowd. So sometimes this wealth and this fame makes that person who has it want more and more and more, right? So that is a need, and then it also becomes a burden, because now that starts to limit their life. So moksha is being liberated from all of this, not wanting all of this. And moksha is also liberation from all the illusions that we have. So we've seen this many times. everything that we call as reality is a subjective reality, because it's always influenced by our worldview. And we form that worldview based on the experiences that we have, and sometimes the conditioning that we have gone through. And those conditioning may not just be in this birth, it could also be from the previous birth. So there is a certain way in which we think, there is a certain way in which we act, and there is a certain way in which we react to anything that happens around us. So those are all the conditioning, and being able to break free from that conditioning and being able to look at something in a totally different way, those are all liberating. So that's what liberation is. So human beings always go from kama, artha. So those two actually have to be appeased before we can get to the way of dharma. And having a level of dharma allows us to have kama and artha that still allows us to remain in peace while enjoying everything. And then moksha allows us to be liberated from there and become one with that ultimate consciousness. And that is what she is able to grant for us. So puruśhārthapradā. Pūrṇā. Pūrṇā means complete. So she is complete. She is that ultimate reality, the Brahman, which is complete. It doesn't lack for anything. It is complete. So in the Upanishads, it says Purnam Adaha Purnam Idam. Purnat Purnam Udachyute. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyati. So Purnam Adaha means that is complete, and that here refers to the Brahman. So that infinite, that ultimate reality is infinite and it is complete. Purnam Idam. Idam here refers to the universe. So this universe is complete. And Purnat Purnam Udachyute. So from the complete, from complete comes complete. So that Brahman is complete, and this universe came from that Brahman, which is also complete. So that's the connection it's making. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyati. So when we take completeness from completeness, what goes on is also complete. So therefore, the essence of this thing is that the Brahman is complete, this universe is complete. And that ultimate reality is everything in this universe, and that also resides within us. And therefore, each one of us is also complete. When we recognize that we are all complete, then this sense of lack, the ānava mala, which is the reason behind a lot of our actions, can go away, which allows us to then not get consumed by the kama and artha. So that's where we get to a state like a lotus, where the lotus absolutely is dependent on water. If there is no water, the lotus will die. But while it's standing in the water, it only consumes as much water as it needs to sustain its life. Otherwise, it doesn't take even a drop of water. It'll roll away from its petals, so, or leaf. So that is the type of life that we are supposed to live. And this is why always, if you see even in Bhagavad Gita, they say it's not that kama and artha are bad. We need money, we need to have some desires, we need to have attachments. Those are all needed. It is when we are getting consumed by them, or even if they are coming, even if we get some satisfaction, we are unfulfilled and we want more and more, that's when they become bad. So we have to attain a state like a lotus where we are able to be with, not get too involved, right? Limited attachment. So an attachment with a detachment. So that is something that is helpful for us in life. So she is someone who is complete, and she is able to make us feel complete. Bhoginī. Bhoginī means one who is enjoying. So the enjoyer of pleasures. So bhogam means pleasure. So why is she Bhoginī? We all said that ultimate reality manifests out of its own will into all the forms in this universe. So that ultimate reality is like the actor, and all the manifested forms in this universe are the roles that the actor plays. And why did that actor play all these roles? Only for its own enjoyment. So it is like being part of a drama. So the ultimate reality is enjoying different emotions, different personalities, different circumstances through all our lives. So she is the ultimate enjoyer, and this also says how she is the creator of the universe and she is also the everything in the universe. Bhuvaneśvarī. Bhuvanam means world. Bhuvaneśvarī means she is the queen of the worlds. So there are 3 worlds or there are 14 worlds. Tribhuvanam, or there are 14 worlds. The earth is said to be the lower of the upper worlds. So after the earth there is Bhuhu, Bhuvarloka, then Swargaloka, then there is Maharloka, then there is Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. Satyaloka is where Brahma lives. After Satyaloka there is Vishnu Loka and Shiva Loka. So Vishnu and Shiva live there. So she is the empress of all the worlds, right? So there is a small story in Devi Bhagavatam around Bhuvaneśvarī. So once when Brahma was created, he came from the nādi of Vishnu. He was in a lotus and he was up there, and everywhere he saw, he could only see water. He just heard this a message to him that he had to create, but he wasn't clear what he was supposed to create it with. Everywhere he sees, only water is there. So Bhuvanam also means water actually. So everywhere he sees, there's only water. And so then he walks through the lotus stalk and he comes across a beautiful being that's lying down, and it's blue in color. Actually what he saw was Vishnu. And this being was sleeping, and he was trying to figure out how to approach. In the meantime, out of the being's ears came 2 Danavas who started to torture Brahma. So then Brahma was crying out for help, and then he heard a voice up there, and he said, "Don't worry, I will take care of you." And then suddenly this blue being woke up. So that was Vishnu, who was under the effect of yoga nidra. And when the ultimate reality made the yoga nidra go away, Vishnu was able to get up, and he fought with Madhu and Kaitaba and he killed. At the same time, Rudra also joined them. And now there is Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra, and they all know that they were all supposed to each do a job, but they had no clue what it is that they have to do and who is asking them to do. They had no idea there. So at that time, there was a voice in the sky which said that, hop onto this chariot and come, I will help you. So immediately Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra jump onto the chariot. It's a fast celestial car, if you will. And so it's going at the speed of mind. So it's just zooming past, and the 3 are able to see the earth with all these nice living beings, all the beautiful trees and river and fruits, etc. They're able to see the Swargaloka with all the devas. They're able to see the Saptarishis. They're able to see Brahma and Brahmaloka, which is amazing for them because now we are talking about multiple universes. And then there is Vishnu. In the Vishnu Loka, they see the Kailasa mountain. And finally, their chariot lands. And to Brahma's surprise and comfort, he finds that they're actually able to land on something. Now, for the first time, he's seeing something other than water. And where do they land? They land in an island that's made of gems. It's called as Mani Dvipa. Dvipam means island. So this island is full of gems. Everywhere that you walk, instead of earth, there is all these gems. And so as they are walking towards that, they see that there is this grand palace which is inside 9 enclosures. So they go one enclosure after another, and they see amazing flowers. They are seeing great fruit trees, and then there is all these rivers and pond and everything that you can think of. And there is a grand forest in which there is a big lotus pond. And then in the middle of that, they are able to come to a grand palace which is built of wish-fulfilling stones. So it's called as Chintamani Griha. So they're going into that palace, and as they walk into this courtroom, they see that there is a man and woman who are sitting on a grand throne. It is one of the most beautiful, it's so powerful, and they're walking there, and then they see this woman there, and she's shining like brilliant 1,000 suns. That brilliance is amazing, and she has this amazing smile in her face that makes you want to look at her all the time. And there is compassion in her eyes, and she's dressed completely in red, and it's as if she had put red sandalwood. and she's the most beautiful woman. She's completely decorated with all these things, and she's looking very, very kind, and she looks like someone you want to reach out to. And then next to her is sitting a man who is white in complexion, and he's wearing a tiger skin, and he has his hair is all matted and it's all tied up, and he has a crescent moon on his hair. And so Brahma, Rudra, and Vishnu approach her. And as they go towards her throne, and they've come so close that they're able to see her feet, and just in her toenails, they're able to see all the universe, and they see themselves there. At that time, they realize that she is the creator of this universe. So they fall at her feet and they sing praises of her. And the feeling is something so overwhelming that you can't just help but sing praises of her. So then Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva all sing praises of her. And then she tells them that she is the essence of creation. She says, the person who's next to me is Bhuvaneśvarā, and I am Bhuvaneśvarī. And Bhuvaneśvarā is the Brahman, he is the Purusha, and I am the Moola Prakriti, which is the essence of creation. So if he is Brahman, I am the Brahma Shakti. So we may look like two, but we are one and the same. And so then she tells them that she created the three of them so that they could help with her creation, sustenance, and destruction of evil. And she gives Saraswati to Brahma, Lakshmi to Vishnu, and Parvati to Rudra, and says, you all with this Shakti, and they are all her own Shaktis. And she says, I give you these Shaktis so that they will assist you in your work. And therefore, Brahma and Saraswati together created the cosmic egg, and Rudra and Parvati pierced it with their Trishula, which then gave rise to the entire universe. That's how universe manifested. And then Vishnu and Lakshmi are protecting the universe. So with that, they understand who Bhuvaneśvarī is, and they all go back to their respective worlds, and then from there they're carrying out their work. So Bhuvaneśvarī is the Moola Prakriti. And actually in the celebration of Shakti, and in the Shaktism, in the Shakta philosophy, there is Adi Shakti. She is the essence of creation. She is the starting of everything. And it is only one Shakti, but there are 10 aspects of her. And that is called as Dasa Mahavidya. And Bhuvaneśvarī is the fourth of the Dasa Mahavidya. Dasa means 10, Mahavidya means great knowledge. So it is the understanding the dimensions of that ultimate reality. And one of the dimension is Bhuvaneśvarī, which is the essence of creation, and which is very important in there. Ambikā. Ambikā means mother. In this particular case, she is the mother of the universe. And it's not just of living things, it's also non-living things. So everything, even living thing and non-living things, all are her creation, and therefore she is the mother of the universe. Anādi. Anādi means Ana Adi. Adi means beginning. Ana means negation of that, which means she has no beginning. The no beginning means she is eternal. She also does not have any end. So she is no beginning, no end. Therefore, she is eternal. Nidhanā. Nidhanā means domicile, which means permanent residence of a particular person. So if somebody just lives in a particular country, that is where they permanently reside, it's called as the domicile. So Nidhanā, she is the permanent residence for all of us. That is the goal of all of our life. The end goal is moksha, liberation. And that liberation is reaching her feet. And when someone reaches her feet, then there is no birth and death. So she is the ultimate abode. It's very similar to Narayana. Narayana. So he is the destination of human beings. Like that, she is Nidhanā. She is the permanent residence. Haribrahmendra sevitā. Hari is Vishnu, Brahma, Indra. So she is someone sevitā, worshipped by. She is worshipped by Hari, Brahma, and Indra. So we've seen this before. There is a Srividya tradition in which there is a 15-lettered mantra called Pancha Dasakshari. So this Pancha Dasakshari mantra or Panchadasi mantra. So this Panchadasi mantra has certain variations. There is Kadi Vidya, Hadi Vidya, and Sadi Vidya. So, Vishnu, Brahma, and Indra are all worshippers of Devi with the Panchadasi mantra. That's why we call her Panchadasakshari. So, and they're also, when anybody does Sri Chakra Puja, they also worship all of these devatas. So let's look at two stories from Devi Bhagavatam, where it talks about how Bhuvaneśvarī granted puruśhārtham to her devotees. So Bhuvaneśvarī is so giving, she is completely compassionate. She doesn't even wait for us to do any major puja or rituals. There are lots of rituals for how you should do puja to Devi. But even if we don't do puja, even if we utter the mantra incorrectly, just her remembrance is sufficient for her to bestow whatever we want. So she is someone who grants all our desires. So there are two stories in Devi Bhagavatam that kind of demonstrate this, or they explain her powers through this. So let's take a look at the first one of them. So once upon a time, there was a king called Dhruvashanti. This king was living in Ayodhya. So he is in the Solar dynasty, like Rama. And the king had two wives. Manorama was the daughter of king of Kalinga called Veerasena. And Leelavati was the daughter of king of Ujjain called Yuddhajit. So the king really loved both his wives, and both his wives were very devoted to the king. And in due course, both of them gave birth to a son each. So Manorama gave birth to a son called Sudarshana. And then a month after Manorama, Leelavati gave birth to a son called Shatrujit. And now the king is very happy. And he's a good king. All the people in his kingdom are all very happy. One day the king went for a hunting expedition, and it was a very successful hunting expedition. He was able to get a deer, boar, etc. But unexpectedly, a lion pounced on him when he was returning back. This just happened so suddenly that nobody was prepared, and the king also quickly took out his sword and started to fight with the lion, but the lion overpowered him and killed him. And the army didn't expect this. So the moment they all found out that the lion killed the king, they all killed the lion. But it didn't matter. The king was already dead. So now the news was conveyed and everybody was very sad. But it also gave rise to a situation of now who will be the next king. Now both his sons, Sudarshana and Shatrujit, are minors. They're about 10 years old, if you will. So they can't really become the kings, but nevertheless, they have to really decide who's going to be the next one. So somebody will be a custodian and they'll rule it in the name of the king. So they were talking about it. So now there were two groups now. One group said, hey, Sudarshana is the firstborn, therefore he should be the king. Whereas another group said, the difference is really only 1 month. And if you look at personalities, Sudarshana is a good boy. He will do what is asked of and everything is okay. But he is a quiet boy. And to a certain extent, some people might even consider him a little bit dull. Whereas if you look at Shatrujit, he's very enterprising. He can convince anybody. He seems to be more of a ambassador kind of a type. So for some people, it's like, hey, it's only 1 month and this boy has more promise and he seems to be someone who can influence a lot of people. That's a good quality for the king. So they want to say Shatrujit should be the king. Now there is now two groups and they're all fighting, and now the kings have also come after hearing about their son-in-law's death. They've also come, and each king is now trying to make sure that their grandson will become the king. So there is a fight. And obviously when kings are involved, the ego is involved, so they go ask for a battle. So the king Veerasena, Manorama's father, and king Yuddhajit, who is Leelavati's father, both of them now have a battle. So the battle is a terrible battle, but at the end of it, Yuddhajit is victorious. So Leelavati's father is victorious and he kills Veerasena. So Manorama is very shrewd. She immediately knows that if this Yuddhajit came and fought for this throne and he killed her father, next thing he's going to do is to kill Sudarshana. So he knows that he won't allow, and he'll kill both Manorama and Sudarshana. So As soon as her father's ceremony and everything was done, she, with the help of a minister called Vidala, she ran away from the palace, and she was going to go into hiding because she wants to save her son. He didn't get the throne, at least he has to be alive. So they go, and then they, on the way, they get attacked by robbers, and they lose all the belongings, whatever she had taken from the palace, and they're stranded now. And nearby where they are stranded, there is Bharadwaja Muni's ashram, and so the minister takes Manorama and Sudarshana to that ashram, and he explains everything to Bharadwaja Muni. Bharadwaja Muni is very moved hearing about this, and therefore he gives them asylum. He says, going forward you can just stay here, so you don't have to be worried about it. And Manorama is really freaked out about this Yuddhajit. She knows he's going to come for her son and possibly herself as well. So now they've gotten a refuge there, and this minister is living nearby, and the minister frequently visits Bharadwaja Munis. And the minister is feeling very sorry now that he's the rightful heir and he should have had this, but they are in a very weak position. They have no army. Even Manorama's father's army was all destroyed, so he's always feeling weak. So every time this minister comes, he keeps saying klib. Klib means weak or not strong enough. So he keeps saying how their position is weak. And this boy is a little boy, and he only hears this klib all the time, and he didn't get the full word, so he only says kli, not klib, kli. And somehow that word was very appealing to him. So he used to keep saying kli, 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 and it slowly started consuming him, and he was internalizing, and always he was chanting this kli. And as time passed, this boy started to grow up, and he started to get more strength, and he was anyway a very nice boy. He was very kind to everybody. His mother raised him like that. So slowly his strength, his valor, his good looks, everything is increasing. So what had happened is the kli is the kleem. Kleem is a bija, kama bija. And so if you look at even Lalita Sahasranamam, there's Aim, Hreem, Kleem. So these are all bijas. And so he was saying the bija wrong. He didn't say Kleem, he only said Klee. But that was enough for Devi to shower her compassion on him. So as he kept repeating it, he started to get all the good things. His strength increased, his good looks increased, his qualities increased. So slowly this boy was getting popular. In the meantime, his fame reached, and Yuddhajit came to know that Manorama and Sudarshana are now in Bharadwaja Muni's ashram. So he wants to kill both of them. He doesn't want to leave any competitor for his grandson's throne. He installed his grandson as the person who should rule, but he's still not happy. Anytime this guy can come and challenge it, so he doesn't want to allow for that to happen. So he wants to make sure that he kills these two. So Yuddhajit comes to Bharadwaja Muni's ashram. At that time, Bharadwaja Muni says that I won't give. So he asks Bharadwaja Muni to hand over Manorama and Sudarshan. He says, I know you will kill them. They came and asked me for help, so they are under my protection. You cannot take them. So then Yuddhajit thinks that he can take by force. At that time, Bharadwaja Muni reminds him, this is how King Kaushika tried to take a cow by force from Vasishta, and Vasishta taught him a lesson. And if you all recall in Vishwamitra's story, completely everybody except King Kaushika were killed just with a hum from Vasishta. So Munis are not to be taken lightly. So once he reminded that, Yuddhajit got very scared and said, okay, let's not mess with him, and he went away. But he was always waiting for a chance to kill Sudarshana and Manorama. And then days passed by, and this boy's fame was growing everywhere. Everybody was hearing about it, and he started to get all the good qualities. In the meantime, there was a king of Banaras, and this king, his name was Subahu, and he had a daughter called Sashikala. So the Sashikala was also hearing all about this Sudarshana, and she started to develop a liking towards him. And one night when she was sleeping, she had this dream where Devi Bhuvaneśvarī came in her dream, and she told her that Sudarshana will be her husband. And so from that time on, Sashikala started to think of Sudarshana as her husband. So then time passed, and obviously there is a princess, and so the mom and dad, the king and queen, decide to hold a swayamvara so she can choose who she wants to marry. So they want to make all arrangements, and Sashikala tells her mom that don't arrange a swayamvara for me. I've already decided that I want to marry Sudarshana, who is the king's, Ayodhya king's son. He doesn't have any kingdom now, but that's who I want to marry. So the queen goes and tells the king, but the king doesn't want for his daughter to marry a pauper almost, right? He's already taking refuge in Bharadwaja Muni's ashram, and he needs protection. A king has to protect everybody. Now this guy needs protection. So he doesn't want to consider all of that. He tells the queen, ask your daughter to make up her mind. She has to marry a king. So I'm going to arrange for a swayamvara. Let her show up properly. So then he goes ahead, arranges for a swayamvara, invites all the kings, and Yuddhajit is coming with Shatrujit. Shatrujit is also now an eligible bachelor who's coming there. So all the kings have all assembled. In 2 days it's going to be swayamvara, and the King Subahu is making sure everybody has a good time. And now this day of swayamvara has come, and Sashikala simply refuses to go into the swayamvara hall. And she says, there is no way that I'm going there, because in my mind Sudarshana is my husband, and therefore I'm wedded to him already in my mind. If I go and see other men, then I can't be a pativrata. So that won't work for me. Why should I see other men when I already have a husband? So that is not appropriate. So she refuses to come to the Swayamvara hall. The king is forcing her, pushing her, but she just puts her foot down and says, I'm not coming into the hall. So then the king goes and explains to everybody and says, no, my daughter is a bit reluctant to come, and she's thinking about Sudarshana as her husband, but I will convince her. Tomorrow we'll have the Swayamvara. Now the kings are already very unhappy. If they feel insulted, why did this guy call? We all came for the princess. If he knew that, why should he do this? But anyways, he somehow convinces. He's also worried. The King Subahu is worried that if all the kings start getting mad and they wage a battle against him, he doesn't have the manpower to be able to fight all of them. So he wants to be careful. So he says, we'll do this tomorrow. In the meantime, Sashikala sends word through someone to Sudarshana. Sudarshana has no idea about this Sashikala, but when he gets the word, he gets a vision where Bhuvaneśvarī is telling, that is going to be your wife, so you should go and help her. Now she's in a situation, you should go marry her. So that's it. He got Devi Bhuvaneśvarī's words, and because he had been saying Kli, he used to get this very often. So now he knows that he has to go. So he takes a chariot from the ashram and he goes and reaches there. Next day, everybody sees that Sudarshana has come. And now Yuddhajit is like really mad. He's like, how dare you come and become equal to my son, my grandson, and therefore he's mad. And he is also trying to always kill him. So he's trying to use this chance to kill. But the other kings all pacify and say, hey, look, he's also a king's son. So he's equally qualified. Anyway, it's the girl who's going to choose. King of Banaras will convince her. So whoever she chooses, we should all just go by that. So then the king is really asking Sashikala, he's telling her, if you don't come now, they're all going to fight and they'll kill me. But Sashikala says, no, what you have to do now, I've told you very clearly that I want to marry Sudarshana. So it's your job to conduct my marriage with him and not ask me to come to this Swayamvara hall. So finally, the king conducts the marriage of Sudarshana and Sashikala. Now all the kings come to know about it and they're all very mad and they want to take revenge, and therefore they want to kill Sashikala and Sudarshana. So when the bride and the groom are leaving in the chariot, they decide they will attack them and they will kill. And now Yuddhajit is like really goading for this. Now he got all the help from other people as well. So they plan for this and they are hiding, and the bride and groom are coming in the chariot. And the king of Banaras is really worried. He's saying, I don't know what's going to happen. But Sudarshana says, don't worry. It is Devi Bhuvaneśvarī who told me to do all of this. That means she will protect us. So don't worry. So then he starts to go, and then they all start to attack. And when they're attacking, suddenly Devi Bhuvaneśvarī comes on a line and she's fighting. And when the kings look at her, they're all scared. And they're like, who's this lady? And then Yuddhajit says, just don't look at this lady, just go fight and we'll kill him and all that. Finally, Bhuvaneśvarī fights everybody and she kills all those kings, and Yudhajit and Shatrujit are also dead, and therefore Sudarshana becomes the king of Ayodhya, and he married his lover whom he really liked, and Sashikala was so devoted to Sudarshana. And so the king of Banaras was completely stunned. He also did not think highly of Sudarshana, and he realized now that he has the complete grace of Devi Bhuvaneśvarī. And so he also requested Devi to stay in Banaras and grant everything to everybody who wants anything. So even today there is a Durga Mandir where it is said to be this particular Devi who showed up to help Sudarshana, who's now in that Durga Mandir at the request of the king of Banaras. She still resides there today. It's supposed to be a very powerful temple in Varanasi. Similarly, Sudarshana went back to Ayodhya and he's always devoted to Devi, and therefore he built a temple there. And so the Ayodhya Durga Mandir is also something that's very popular. They both are related. So it is the same Durga who came to save Sudarshana, who's both in Varanasi as well as in Ayodhya. So in this story you can see that kid did not even know what they were doing. The kid did not even know about Devi Bhuvaneśvarī, but just the kli was enough to remember Devi, and the moment she heard this, she bestowed the grace, and with her help he was able to get strength. He became more and more handsome. He was able to get the girl he liked. He was able to get the throne he needed, and he lived a very happy life. And there is another story in Devi Bhagavatam along the same veins. I'll narrate it in a very short way. So there was once a Brahmin called Devadatta. His wife's name is Rohini. And Devadatta and Rohini did not have children for a very long time. So as it is the norm, they did the Putra Kameshti Yagam. So Yajñavakya was the officiating priest, and he conducted that. So in that there are many priests and each one has a role. And there was one called Govila, whose role it is to sing the Vedas, so all the hymns. So it's like the Sama Veda, the singing. So the Yagam was going on, and this Govila is very well known for his singing. He sings extremely well. That day when he was singing, for some reason he felt out of breath. Therefore, there was a small gap in his singing, and it didn't have the right intonation in the Veda. And we all know, right? When Vedas, the way you say it is also equally important. And Devadatta, being a Brahmin himself, immediately knew that there was a gap there. And so he got very mad, and he told Govila, "Why can't you sing properly? Why are you doing this? You're making this whole yajna go waste." And so he got very upset. And when he heard that, Govila felt very insulted, and he got very angry. And he said, "You're doing this Putra Kameshti Yaga to get a child. I curse that child will become illiterate. That will be dumb. No matter what you do, that kid will not learn anything." Hearing this, Devadatta was devastated. He's a Brahmin, and we all know in those days, it was by profession, right? So the Brahmins all were scholars. Their job was to learn the Vedas and recite it and teach other people. So if someone is illiterate and cannot even learn anything, then that is as good as being dead, right? So then the Devadatta got very upset. The whole yajna was for a child, and this is the quality of the child. So immediately he apologized to Govila, and he said, "You've given me a very harsh curse. Please, we've been longing for a child for so long, and now if you give this is very hard." So then Govila also felt sorry, and he said, "Don't worry, afterwards you'll become learned." And therefore they went ahead and finished the yajna, and all the proper procedures were all done. And in due time, Rohini gave birth to a baby, and they called the son Uttaya. And time passed, and the kid was growing, and in due course they did the Upanayanam, and then they started to send the kid to the school. They go to Gurukulam, and this kid would not learn anything. No matter what you teach, he didn't learn anything. And now he's become 12 years old, and he can't even do Sandhya Vandanam. He doesn't know any of the hymns. He doesn't know even a simple shloka. He can't do Sandhya Vandanam on his own. Whatever you teach him, he cannot speak well. So now Devadatta and Rohini are getting very upset, and word passes everywhere that Devadatta has a son who's not fit to be a Brahmin, he can't learn anything. So there is frustration, and one day Devadatta yells at Uttaya. The kid is now terribly devastated, and he says, I don't want to be here. My parents are always yelling at me. So he runs away to the forest. And he goes to the forest and he finds a place where there is water, and near there are lots of trees and everything. So he eats whatever he gets in the forest, he will eat that. And then time kept on passing, and now 14 years passed, and he still doesn't know anything. He hasn't learned anything, nothing. He's just going on with this. But one thing alone he knows, that he should never speak any lie. So whatever it is, he'll always only tell the truth. Slowly, people around that edge of the forest, there are villages around there, they all got to know that there is they call him a saint. And they say there is this person there, and he will always only say truth. He will never speak anything ill. So he is called as Satyavrata. He has the vow of truth. That's why he's called Satyavrata. So they call him Satyavrata. They don't know his name is Uttaya, etc. So he just continues like that. One day, as he's in the forest, there is a hunter who comes there, and he is hunting a boar. So he puts an arrow and it hits the boar, but the boar didn't die. It was running. It's bleeding heavily and it's running. And suddenly it just came into the place where Satyavrata was living. And the moment he saw this boar, it was in a terrible shape, and he suddenly felt this overwhelming compassion for this boar. He felt sorry for the boar, and so he wanted the boar to go. He knew somebody was running and coming. So he said, I. That's a word that came to him for some reason. He said, I. And then the boar didn't understand anything. It doesn't know what I is. And he also doesn't know why he uttered it. It just came, and the boar ran away, and it went and hid inside a bush. After some time, the hunter is coming running, and he sees this hut and all that. He's coming and saying, hey, did you see a boar that came by? I hit the boar with an arrow. Now I don't know where it went, and I have a family, and my family is waiting. I have to feed all my children and family members. So I need to take this boar. Can you tell me where it went? So now this Satyavrata is in two minds. He has taken a vow of truth. So he only can speak truth. So if the hunter is asking where is the boar, he cannot say, oh, go and he cannot say, I didn't see it, or I don't know where it went, or it didn't come here. All of those will be lies, and that will break. The only thing he knows to do is to keep that vow of telling the truth. Otherwise, he's already, nobody likes him, he doesn't know anything, he's not fit to be in that particular occupation, etc. So this is the only thing for so many years he has upheld. So now he's thinking, oh my gosh, now should I break that just for this boar's sake? On the other hand, if he says, no, my woe is great and I have to keep the truth, his heart is overwhelming with compassion for this boar. He doesn't want that boar to die. And it came into his heart, and it's almost like it seeked his protection. So now he doesn't know what to do with that. So if he tells the truth, it's a problem. If he doesn't tell the truth, it's a problem. So he's in that situation. Suddenly, there is all this knowledge flowing in. And so he tells him, he who sees does not speak, and he who speaks does not see. And it's coming out like a poetry, and this hunter is completely confused. Now he doesn't know whether he saw or he's not, because he's speaking, that means he didn't see, or he saw but he's not speaking. So he's not able to understand that. The hunter is confused, and the hunter goes away. And from that point, this Satyavrata becomes a big poet like Valmiki. So he's just flowing with poetry. So what really happened, and how is it someone who was illiterate suddenly became able to say all this poetry? The I that he said, for whatever reason, is actually the short of Aim. So the Aim, Hreem, Kleem, it is the short for I. And when he said that I, even though he said it because he doesn't know, it is the bija of Saraswati. So the entire Kadaksham of Saraswati came. And Saraswati is nothing but one aspect of bhuvaneśvarī. So everything came to him, and therefore he started to say all these, sing all these poetry, all this kavyam, everything. And so the fame started spreading. And then finally, Devadatta realized that his son is here, and therefore he came and they took him home. So then Satyavrata was united with his parents, and all the people who looked down upon him as someone who's illiterate now were just completely mesmerized by his poetry, and he lived a happy life and reached salvation. So, all we need is just remembrance of Devi. The moment we remember her, she's always waiting to come and bestow whatever our desires are. And when we submit our senses to her, then she is able to guide us on the right path. That's all for today. Thank you.